The Jackal and the Drum. Once upon a time, in a jungle there lived a jackal by the name of Gomaya. One day, he was very hungry and was wandering in search of food. While wandering, he came across a battlefield. There he saw a big drum lying under a tree. When the wind blew, a tender branch grown at the root of the tree struck the drum, producing sound of a drum beat. The jackal examined the drum from all sides and then beat the drum with his front paws. The drum made a sound. Now the jackal thought that there might be some other small animal inside the drum and that would make a very tasty meal for him. But he found the top of the drum too tough to tear off. The jackal thought of a plan and began to beat the drum with both his front paws. The sound of drumbeat filled the whole jungle. A leopard who was attracted towards the sound of the drum came near it. The jackal said to the leopard, "Your Majesty, there is some animal hiding inside the drum. Since you have sharp claws and strong teeth, you can tear off the top of the drum and catch your prey inside the drum." The leopard was himself hungry, so he hit the top of the drum with his heavy paws. The drum burst with a sound, but there was no animal inside. The drum was empty. Seeing the empty drum, the leopard became very angry and said to the jackal, "You have wasted my time. There is no food inside the drum. So I will kill and eat you." The leopard pounced upon the jackal and killed and ate him. Now let's jump to a new story. The story about the four friends and the hunter. Long, long ago, there lived three friends in a jungle. They were a deer, a crow, and a mouse. They used to share their meals together. One day, a turtle came to them and said, "I also want to join your company and become your friend. I'm all alone." "You're most welcome," said the crow. "But what about your personal safety? There are many hunters around. They visit this jungle regularly. Suppose a hunter comes, how will you save yourself?" "That is the reason why I want to join your group," said the turtle. No sooner had they talked about it than a hunter appeared on the scene. Seeing the hunter, the deer darted away, the crow flew in the sky, and the mouse ran into a hole. The turtle tried to crawl away fast, but he was caught by the hunter. The hunter tied him up in the net. He was sad to lose the deer. But he thought it was better to feast on the turtle rather than to go hungry. The turtle's three friends became much worried to see his friend trapped by the hunter. They sat together to think of some plan to free his friend from the hunter's snare. The crow then flew high up in the sky and spotted the hunter walking along the river bank. As per the plan, the deer ran ahead of the hunter unnoticed and lay on the hunter's path as if dead. The hunter saw the deer from a distance, lying on the ground. He was very happy to have found it again. "Now I'll have a good feast on it and sell its beautiful skin in the market," thought the hunter to himself. He put down the turtle onto the ground and ran to pick up the deer. In the meantime, as planned, the rat gnawed through the net and freed the turtle. The turtle hurriedly crawled away into the river water. Unaware of the plot of these friends, the hunter went to fetch the deer for its tasty flesh and beautiful skin. But, what he saw with his mouth agape was that, when he reached near, the deer suddenly sprang up to its feet and darted away in the jungle. Before he could understand anything, the deer had disappeared. Dejected, the hunter turned back to collect the turtle he had left behind on the ground in the snare. But he was shocked to see the snare lying nibbled at and the turtle missing. For a moment, the hunter thought that he was dreaming. But the damaged snare lying on the ground was proof enough to confirm that he was very much awake, and he was compelled to believe that some miracle had taken place. The hunter got frightened on account of these happenings and ran out of the jungle. The four friends once again started living happily. Now let's jump to a new story. The story about the talkative tortoise. Once upon a time, two geese by the names of Sankata and Vikata and a tortoise by the name of Kambugriva lived near a river. They were good friends. Once, due to drought in the region, all the rivers, lakes and ponds went dry. There was not a drop of water to drink for the birds and animals. They began to die of thirst. The three friends talked among themselves to find a solution to this problem and go out in search of water. But despite their best efforts, they could not find water anywhere around. Having no alternative, the three friends decided to go to some distant lake, full of water, to settle down there forever. But there was a problem in shifting to so distant a place. While it was easy for the geese to fly, it was difficult for the tortoise to cover that distance on foot. So the tortoise put up a bright idea. He said, "Why not bring a strong stick? I will hold the stick in the middle with my teeth, and you two hold both the ends of the stick in your beaks. In this manner, I can also travel with you." Hearing the suggestion of the tortoise, the geese cautioned him, "It's a very good idea. We will do as you say. But you will have to be very careful. The problem with you is that you are very talkative. And if you open your mouth to say something, while we are flying, it will definitely prove to be detrimental to you. So, don't talk while you are dangling by the stick, otherwise you will lose your hold and go crashing down on the ground and die." The tortoise understood the logic and promised not to open his mouth during the entire journey. So the geese held the stick ends in their beaks and the tortoise held the stick in the middle with his teeth, and thus, they began their long journey. They flew over hills, valleys, villages, forests, and finally came over a town. While they were flying over the town, men, women, and children came out of their houses to see this strange sight. The children began shouting and clapping. The foolish tortoise forgot that he was hanging precariously. He became so curious to know the reason behind these clappings that he opened his mouth to ask his friends, "Friends, what is this all about?" But as soon as he opened his mouth to utter these words, he loosened his hold on the stick and fell down on the ground and died instantaneously. Now let's jump to a new story. The story about the sage and the mouse. There lived a famous sage in a dense forest. Every day, the animals of the forest came to him to listen to his spiritual preachings. They would gather around the meditating sage, and the sage would tell them the good things of life. There was also a little mouse living in the same forest. He too used to go to the sage daily to listen to his preachings. One day, while he was roaming in the forest to collect berries for the sage, he was attacked by a big cat, who was watching him from behind the thick bushes. The mouse was scared. He ran straight to the ashram of the sage. There he lay prostrate before the sage and narrated to him the whole story in a trembling voice. In the meantime, the cat also arrived there and requested the sage to allow him to take his prey. The sage was in a fix. He thought for a moment and then, with his divine powers, transformed the mouse into a bigger cat. Seeing a huge cat before him, the other cat ran away. Now the mouse was carefree. He began to roam about in the forest like a big cat. He meowed loudly to frighten other animals. He fought with other cats to take revenge on them, and in this way killed many of them. The mouse had hardly enjoyed a few carefree days of his life, when one day, a fox pounced upon him. This was a new problem. He had never taken into account that there were yet bigger animals who could easily maul him and tear him into pieces. He ran for his life. He, somehow, saved himself from the fox and ran straight to the sage for help. The fox too was in his hot pursuit. Soon both of them stood before the sage. The sage, seeing the plight of the mouse this time, transformed the mouse into a bigger fox. Seeing a big fox before him, the other fox ran away. The mouse became more carefree and began roaming about in the forest more freely with his newly acquired status of a big fox. But his happiness was short-lived. One day, while he was moving around in the forest freely, a tiger pounced upon him. The mouse, somehow, managed to save his life and as usual ran to take shelter in the ashram of the sage. The sage, once again, took pity on the mouse and transformed him into a tiger. Now, the mouse, after acquiring the status of a tiger, roamed fearlessly in the forest. He killed many animals in the forest unnecessarily. After having been transformed into a tiger, the mouse had become all-powerful for the forest animals. He behaved like a king and commanded his subjects. But one thing always bothered his mind and kept him worried, and that was the divine powers of the sage. What if, one day for some reason or the other, the sage becomes angry with me and brings me back to my original status? He would think worriedly. Ultimately, he decided something, and one day, he came to the sage roaring loudly. He said to the sage, "I'm hungry. I want to eat you, so that I could enjoy all those divine powers, which you do. Allow me to kill you." Hearing these words, the sage became very angry. Sensing tiger's evil designs, he immediately transformed the tiger back into the mouse. The worst had happened. Now the mouse realized his folly. He apologized to the saint for his evil actions and requested him to change him again into a tiger. But the sage drove the mouse away by beating him with a stick. Now let's jump to a new story. The story about the lion and the hare. There lived a lion by the name of Bhasuraka, in a dense jungle. He was very powerful, cruel and arrogant. He used to kill the animals of the jungle unnecessarily. He even killed the human beings, who traveled through the jungle. This became a cause of worry for all the animals. They discussed this problem among themselves and ultimately came upon a decision to hold a meeting with the lion and make an amicable settlement with him and put an end to this ongoing trauma. So, one day, all the animals of the jungle assembled under a big tree. They also invited King Lion to attend the meeting. In the meeting, the animals said to King Lion, "Your Majesty, we are happy that you are our king. We are all the more happy that you are presiding over the meeting." King Lion thanked them and asked, "Why is it that we have gathered here?" All the animals began looking at each other. They had to muster enough courage to broach the topic. "Sir," said one of the animals, "it's natural that you kill us for food. But, killing more than what is required is a positive vice and unnecessary. If you go on killing the animals without any purpose, soon a day will come when there will be no animals left in the jungle." "So what do you want?" roared King Lion. "Your Majesty, we have already discussed the problem among ourselves and have come upon a solution. We have decided to send one animal a day to your den. You can kill and eat it. This will save you from the trouble of hunting and you will not have to kill a number of animals unnecessarily for your meals." "Good," the lion roared back. "I agree to this proposal, but the animals must reach to me in time, otherwise, I'll kill all the animals of the jungle." The animals agreed to this proposal. Every day one animal walked into the lion's den to become his feast. The lion too was very happy to have his food right before him. He stopped hunting for his prey. One day, it was the turn of a hare to go into the lion's den. The little hare was unwilling to go and become a meal of the lion, but the other animals forced him to go to the lion's den. Having no alternative, the hare began thinking quickly. He thought of a plan. He began wandering around and made a deliberate delay, and reached the lion's den a little late than the lion's meal time. By now, the lion had already lost his patience, and seeing the hare coming slowly, he became furious and demanded for an explanation. "Your Majesty," the hare said with folded hands, "I am not to be blamed for that. I have come late because another lion began chasing me and wanted to eat me. He said that he too was the king of the jungle." The king lion roared in great anger and said, "Impossible, there cannot exist another king in this jungle. Who is he? I'll kill him. Show me where he lives." The lion and the hare set out to face the other lion. The hare took the lion to a deep well, full of water. When they reached near the well, the hare said to the lion, "This is the place where he lives. He might be hiding inside." The lion again roared in great anger, climbed up the puteel of the well and peeped in. He saw his own reflection in the water and thought that the other lion was challenging his authority. He lost his temper. "I must kill him," said the lion unto himself and jumped into the well. He was soon drowned. The hare was happy. He went back to other animals and narrated the whole story. All the animals took a sigh of relief and praised him for his cleverness. They all lived happily thereafter. No more today. Goodbye. Thank you.